Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Weekend SportsWrap right here on the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast at DannyClinkscale.com. Well, we finally had some good weather. You know, it's the second consecutive year where it seems likely we're going to go right from winter and crap to summer with no spring in between. But at least when you have days like Sunday, when I had the pleasure of attending a picnic to celebrate the Folly Theater, of which my wife is a board member, in a beautiful backyard garden setting, and the weather was absolutely perfect, low humidity, sunshine. The only thing good about horrendous weather, and I'm not even talking about the tragically horrendous weather we have, I just mean the weather that we have to suffer through on a daily basis, not the kind that's far, far more important, is that when you actually do get good weather, it seems like a special treat. Now, that's an awful high price to pay for days like Sunday, but it certainly was beautiful. It certainly is nice to have it back. So when you start to get better weather, it's maybe easier to not pay as close attention to the things that are peripheral in our lives, like sports. Although maybe they're not as peripheral as they should be sometimes. Certainly the Royals were playing and losing. There was the NBA Finals going on. Pretty compelling, to say the least. And the Kansas City Chiefs will start up their OTAs again this week. You know my thoughts about football practice in general, but still you get some interesting storylines and background things. And if you're an NFL geek who wants it 365, then this is for you. All kinds of different things. And sporting gets themselves a kiss your sister result that maybe was a little bit better than just that is concerned. Lots of things to dive into as well. We'll do it coming up next as we celebrate the start of summer after we got no spring. Maybe that's going to be the case, maybe not, but we'll talk sports coming up next.
Before you spend your time and money going after an MBA, ask yourself why. Is it so you can tell people you got your MBA? So you can add a line to your CV? So you can call it a CV instead of a resume? Truth is, any MBA will do that. On the other hand, if your goal is to learn how to successfully manage and grow a business with real-world insights from experienced professionals, well, consider getting your MBA from Park University. Our low student-to-teacher ratio gives you personalized attention, and our face-to-face and online classes offered in 8-week terms are designed with working professionals like you in mind. No wonder the Kansas City Business Journal ranks Park University as the top MBA program in the area. Classes begin June 10th at all 4 KC area locations: Parkville, Downtown, Independence, and Lenexa. Visit park.edu to get started.
I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob, be next. Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. Welcome back, and the reward for bad baseball is high draft picks. And while the MLB draft has tried their best to be something that is akin to the NFL draft, they're never going to get there. They're never going to get close. But still, when your team has a high pick, it's something at least to salve the wounds of the previous year's misery. And there was plenty of misery last year, and unfortunately it looks like the Royals in 2020 will have another high draft choice again next year, but they get the number 2 pick tonight. And if you want to look back and think in good terms, the number 2 pick is where they got Alex Gordon and Mike Moustakas. Neither one of them fantastic players, but both of them extremely good players and players who ended up being vital to a world championship in 2015. So the Royals don't quite have the pick of the litter, but the litter is especially talented at the top. The top 3, and really the top 2 are what most people are talking about, are Oregon State catcher Adley Rutschman, and the high school shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. is the person who seems most likely ticketed to the Royals because most people think the Orioles will pick Rutschman. Well, Cal first baseman Andrew Vaughn, who's an outstanding hitter, although small for a first baseman, is also somewhat into the mix, and there's some thought that maybe the Orioles will go signability pick on Vaughn so that they can pick up somebody later on. Most people really do feel that Rutschman is the top talent in this draft. No doubt a switch-hitting catcher with power and eye-popping numbers and fine defensive skills as well. There are those who think that even if the Orioles were to pass on Rutschman and go with Vaughn, that the Royals still might take Bobby Witt Jr. There are probably more people than that would think that that was a mistake. And one of the narratives out there is that the Royals are being affected somewhat by the fact that they feel like they have good organizational depth at catcher, and of course a lead catcher in Salvador Perez, who likely still has a few good years in him. Well, I think it's simple. Baseball things change so fast, and trades are made so often, and injuries happen on such a regular basis, and things go sideways on such a regular basis. There's no franchise out there that knows that better than the Kansas City Royals, who have had a precipitous fall from the top of the mountaintop in the last couple of years. To me, you decide who is the best player that's available for you to take, and I don't care if it's a pitcher or a right fielder or a shortstop or a catcher, you take him, because you can remedy a glut if you indeed ever end up having one at a particular position. Now, having sort of broken down the draft, and I think Bobby Witt Jr. probably will be the choice of the Royals, who do have a shortstop, and if they take Bobby Witt Jr., then they are actually doing exactly what I said, because if they feel Witt Jr. is the best player, they have a shortstop of the future in Adalberto Mondesi, but people who play shortstop can basically end up playing anywhere, and that certainly would fit for Witt, and not Whit Merrifield, one of the few bright spots we'll get to in a moment. So an impact player is needed. This is very important for the Royals. They've had their share of misses with these high picks. It looks like maybe one of those is coming back to the hit category in Hunter Dozier, but still, the Christian Colognes and the Kyle Zimmers and people like that have hurt this organization and hurt it badly. And when you have 2, 3, or 4 of those, and the Royals have had that, which have been significant misses, it really does undercut what you've done and create situations like the Royals seemingly almost assured. Well, not assured. They had a 100-loss season last year, so that part of it is taken care of. But they seem like they're heading full tilt towards another 100-loss season there. And I'm almost tempted to just stop with the draft and not talk any more Royals baseball, but that's not what you do here. And the Royals had another bad road trip, another bad performance over the weekend, and now they've lost 6 of their last 7, and they are now below the win 1 in every 3 tries category. They still have gone since April 18th without winning on consecutive days, but they still do occasionally give you reason to smile, or at least lightly grin, because they are getting good, consistent performances for 3 or 4 regular players, but really pretty much 0 from the rest. Mediocre production from the other people would have resulted in far more victories for the Royals right now, but they are borderline fighting for the worst record in baseball right now. One of the feel-good stories that lasted a couple of weeks was that of second baseman Nicky Lopez, but now he's gone 4 for his last 34. He was sat down yesterday and, of course, gets the Monday day off as well, and perhaps that will liven him back up again. But pitchers seem to have been able to adjust to the fact that he is not going to hit them for power, and he's not going to hurt them with extra base pop, so they're attacking him much more strongly, not worried about the fact that he can take the ball out of the park or hit a 3-run homer or clear the bases with a double or a triple. And that has resulted in the fact that the much ballyhooed 5 strikeouts and 25 walks he had at the minor league level and his amazing contact rate, which was amazing in the minors, well, now is translating in a 72 at-bat sample, so that's, about 85 plate appearances so far, but he is pacing for over 100 strikeouts and 50 walks. So people are indeed somewhat knocking the bat out of his hand and or missing his bat when that wasn't expected to be part of the narrative for Lopez. And, of course, as I said, we're only talking about 72 official at-bats here. We will see what happens, but that's what you grasp for when you're a fan of a losing team. Some guy comes up, he puts together some good performances. Scott Barlow looks good for a couple of weeks out of the bullpen when all you had was disaster before that, and you grasp onto it. It's natural, and Nicky Lopez certainly should not be written off as a good ball player in no way, shape, or form. But we do tend, as a fan base, as viewers of a team, when a team is bad and they are losing a lot, to try and find something, please give me something. And there are broadcasts every night when they're going to highly tout Nicky Lopez and do features on him and speak to him after games, and you should, because it's entertainment. And for a short period of time, he was entertaining. Now he's not so entertaining. Will he at one point or another have to go back down to the minors? He might, and that will not be the sign that his time with the Royals is over or anything like that. But you do indeed get to see the reality of a player trying to break through to the major league level. But the Royals have a homestand coming up. It's not against easy opposition, starting out with the Red Sox coming in, but then you have the White Sox. But the Royals can be challenged by anyone. They just lost 6 out of 7 against 2 mediocre teams. But these losses are problematic. They're not problematic from the standpoint that you expected to contend, but to get into the habit of losing is never a good thing for a baseball team or a baseball player. And you have to worry about players just accepting losing. You can't beat yourself up in baseball after every individual loss. That would be crazy and it would kill you. But if you just are getting used to the fact that you're not very good and you're going to lose, that can be a bit cancerous, to say the least. As I said, the things that are going well still are going well, except right now Hunter Dozier's hurt, but that doesn't seem to be a long time problem. Adalberto Mondesi still strikes out a lot, but besides that, he's been a fine player, and he looks like he's got tremendous promise still. Alex Gordon has cooled a bit in May, but he is still playing overall fine baseball. Whit Merrifield is being Whit Merrifield. But besides that, there's not a lot to grasp onto. Ryan O'Hearn continues to struggle. Whipping boy Chris Owens is now gone from the team. Cheslor Cuthbert gets another audition up here. Seemingly he gets about a month every now and then to see if he can rekindle what was once thought of as great promise. But certainly big needs are there. That's why tonight, the Major League Draft, something I said last week we unfortunately have to pay far too much attention to when you're a losing team, becomes a very important factor for the future of the Kansas City Royals. Sporting Kansas City got a result on the road, a 1-1 draw against Houston, and that's never really a bad thing, but seeing as they grabbed the lead midway through the second half and almost immediately let it slip away, losing the chance to get a full 3 points, that hurts a bit. There's no question about that. They're languishing third from the bottom in the MLS playoffs. Now 7 out of 12 teams in each conference make the playoffs, which I think is too many, because what you're looking at right now is the fact that losing teams will be making the postseason, and I don't ever think that's right. But still, you get a point, especially when you had Johnny Russell and Matt Beasler held out of the lineup because they had slight injuries or had played too much in the string of 3 games in 7 days. Probably a little bit more in Beasler's case rather than Russell, because Russell is about to be headed for international duty. So progress will be difficult to judge and come by if 3 points aren't gained, because the rest of the month, Sporting is only going to play once a week. They're going to play once a week, each week in June, and all of them are on the road. The opponents aren't particularly imposing. They're either at or just below the 500 mark, but still those are road games. The team should be getting healthier and healthier with a schedule of no midweek games and outstanding training facility and